Even though I'm kind of late, let's do this anyway. Better late than never. Let's just get this done. Enjoying this hot sun today in the shade. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sowing and Reaping YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about who killed Shanny for Christ and Revelation News. I know this must be shocking to some people. Some of you by now should know what this is all about. But I'm going to talk about that. But before I do, let me let everybody know what happened yesterday. I do listen to my chat from time to time, and somebody left a comment on there saying that Drag doesn't have any content. Let it stay that way. So, and all I was doing was giving him content, and I want to see Drag's creativeness, which we all know he doesn't have it. So, decided not to give him no content. So, when I get bored enough, I'll dedicate a video to him. But for right now, I'm going to give him a bit of a break because he's so busy. He made 3 videos, and I only made 1. He's so busy. But anyway. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sowing and Reaping YouTube channel. Today, we're going to get back to the whole Shanny and Rev conversation on this channel, and I want to talk about who killed Shanny for Christ. Because I'm going to tell you something. When I first got on YouTube, and I was introduced to this great debate community by Rand Campbell, Shanny was one of the people that I was introduced to. And back when she was Shanny for Christ, back during the great debate days, the only thing I knew about Shanny was that she was married to Chris. She had 2 kids. Well, she had kids. I didn't even know she had 2. She had kids, and she wore head coverings when she prayed. Oh, I'm sorry. And she was also an ex-atheist, and she was an ex-Satanist. That's pretty much all I knew about the woman, right? I also know that she wasn't that much of a good debater, because when they used to do G-Man versus the World and she came in to talk to atheists, she didn't do that well. This debate is reprobate nonsense didn't come until she realized that she wasn't a very good debater on certain topics. There are other topics I think she's pretty good at. I think her and Veckel had a was it Veckel or was it Rev? No, Rev and Veckel had a debate or a aggressive conversation about whether or not debating was sinful or not. And even Veckel said he was surprised at how well they did. I was shocked. I thought Veckel was going to bury them alive and put their papers away or whatever. You know what I mean? If you see me looking around, there's activities going on. So, when you're outdoors, you got to pay attention to your surroundings. But anyway, that's all I knew about her. All right. It wasn't until her and Chris went through their marital stuff that I got to learn a little bit more about her. She apparently Chris cheated on her. She didn't do any of those things, according to her story. And I'm sure everybody knows better now, but we'll get to that in a minute. But when that happened, and by the way, if you want to see references to what I'm talking about, go to the Fundy archive and you'll be able to see a lot of the videos that I'm going to be talking about in a minute. But Shanny would get on YouTube and pretty much pour out her guts, let everybody know what was going on in her life. Maybe not to the extreme that she does it now, but it was a lot back then. This is when I learned about the relationship, or rather the phone sex that she had with Rev while she was married to Chris. I've learned exactly how many kids that she had, her interest in certain men on YouTube. I think myself was one of them. Rev was another. I think Rand, at one time was one of them. And there was a couple of other people that Shanny was interested in at the time. But we all know that she wanted Rev. And to a certain extent, since we're talking about the Fundy archive days, to a certain extent, I understand. Because if you're coming from a poor lifestyle and you can be provided for by a guy who has almost $1 million, why not, right? I also found out about how much of a disagreement she had with her own mother during this time, to unhealthy levels. Like if I would have known some of the things I knew about her during the time that her and Chris was going through their things, I don't think I would have let her come into my room claiming to be a Christian. But that's when we started learning more about her. I didn't know about her drinking problems, but then again, some people see one thing that you guys got to understand about the Christian community. We're very forgiving, and we're willing to turn a blind eye to a lot of things. And when she started all that drinking and started behaving the way she was behaving, a lot of us were just like, she's going through a hard time. This guy apparently violated her. This guy cheated on her with her best friend. So there's a little bit of justifiability with the way she was behaving or whatever. We'll get to the reaction channels in a minute and what actually happened with her in a moment. But let's go on with this. We're talking about what happened to Shanny for Christ. And mind you, back then she was calling herself Shanny for Christ. There was no Salafon. There wasn't no cult of Shanny. There wasn't all this other nonsense that she was talking about. When she was going through what she was going through with Chris, she was getting a lot of attention that she wasn't used to. She was getting attention from this YouTuber by the name of JD Kane, who had a show called TST. Because I'm a Christian, because I don't believe in cussing, I'll put it to you that way. I'm not going to tell you the exact name, but I'm going to tell you enough of it where you can figure it out for yourself. I'm sure Lubis, I saw you in the chat. You can actually tell some people, but I call it Talking Stupidity Tuesdays, but that's not what it was called. It was Talking Donkey Tuesdays. I'll put it to you that way. And she used to defend this show, saying that, oh, they're just using their freedom of speech. We got to be loving toward them. Peace of Maranatha and all this other stuff that she was saying on her channel while cussing up a storm. Although back in the day when she was Shanny for Christ and before Chris did what he did, she had a little bit more self-control with her mouth. When the stuff happened with Chris, she just went off with the cussing. She just felt like she was a new person, that Chris cheating on her gave her permission to cuss everybody out. You know what I mean? Like I said, I got to know a little bit more about her. I talked to her on the phone. She was interested in me for a little bit. I told her that she had to leave her mother's house and get a job, because I wasn't going to get involved with somebody who wasn't working and wasn't trying to do nothing for themselves, and especially if they were living with their mother. You know what I mean? And I guess she wasn't trying to hear that or whatever. But where we really begin to see who and what Shanny really is when, now I'm going to talk about two different people, because these people are not the same. Shanny for Christ and Shannon Dornbush are not the same people. And by the way, this is not a dot drop, because her last name is not Dornbush. Chris's last name is Dornbush, but not Shanny's. Okay, she's supposed to be going by her maiden name. She is no longer married. She is legally divorced from Chris. So I don't know why she's still walking around here with her ex's last name, claiming to be married to Rev. Never understood that. But yeah, Shannon Dornbush and Shanny for Christ are two different people. And Shannon Dornbush is the one who killed Shanny for Christ. She's guilty of murder, and I'm gonna tell you why. Shannon Dornbush, when she was poor, she was humble to a certain extent. She understood the struggle. She understood the issues that went on with different peoples and race groups and all this other stuff. She understood all of that stuff. But when she got a little bit of money in her pocket, Shannon destroyed everything that Shanny for Christ built. She started to believe that it was okay. And like I said, I believe that there's three mega factors that destroyed Shanny for Christ. The first thing is her getting mad at me and calling me the N-word. For those of you who don't know, I was the very first person she called that to. She blames me for her YouTube career being destroyed. But in reality, she was the one that went out there and called me the N-word, and then Red was calling me the N-word. That's social media suicide when you do that. But of course, she didn't care, because she had $750,000. Notice I said she had it. Rev, if you're watching this, it was never your money, dude. It was her money. All right. in that sense, dude. That's why she always said that she gave this, and she gave this, and she gave this. Never watching her work. She was very sloppy when she came into that money. But anyway, the first thing that she did wrong was she went around calling people the N-word. She called Life of the Free Spirit the N-word. She called Dragnut the N-word. She called a bunch of different people in here the N-word. And then she said she wasn't sorry about it. And she did that on social media, which means you are committing social media suicide, especially with all the cultural changes that was going on here. The second thing that destroyed Shanny was when this dummy allowed, I'm sorry, no, I'm gonna save that one for last. Oppressing the poor. Oppressing the poor. She keeps getting on here talking about how she gave this person money, how she gave this person money. But Shanny also fails to realize that when she got on here, she put down a lot of people in here who didn't have it like the way she had it. She put down a lot of people. Made fun of people who didn't have any money, bragged about going to the finest restaurants, bragged about going to these concerts, bragged about their social status, bragged about, and she was even bragging about the president at the time. I'm not gonna say his name, but y'all should know who I'm talking about. He's not very popular right now with a lot of people right now, but she bragged about the president, talked about how he was doing so good for the rich. She belittled and put down a lot of people who was not on her economic level. And I think she tends to forget that. But a lot of people on here didn't forget that. It got to the point where I even made a video saying that I didn't like rich people. And all they did was throw logs on that flame. That's all they did, because I didn't like them prior to them giving me that house. You know what I mean? I didn't like rich people because I feel like they're responsible for oppressing the poor. But that's a discussion for another day, right? So the third thing that destroyed her YouTube career was when they went on that road trip and Rev got angry in the car and said what he said to Zachary. Shanny can blame, kind of like I said, despite my problems with certain people on YouTube, she can blame these reaction people all she wants. Nobody put a gun in her head and make her go out there and call people the N-word. Okay? Nobody put a gun in her head and made her oppressed, say all the things that she said about poor people. And lastly, no one put a gun in Rev's head and made him say the things that he said about Zachary, knowing that these things would trigger everyone. You know what I mean? Now, I know we all got differences of opinion on child rearing, discipline, and things of that nature. I do not want to get to that in this video. The way Rev did it, how he did it, and Shanny's attitude about filming every tiny thing. Like I said, the only thing Shanny has not filmed about her life is her going to the bathroom. Like, no one's actually been in the bathroom with her and watched the poop come out of her butt. Pretty much everything else has been documented on the internet. Everything else has been documented online. Everything. So, except poop coming literally out her butt. Although one could argue, based on how she leaves toilets, something different or whatever, right? But Shanny killed her own career on here. And the fact that she refuses, that she's so puffed up and proud, and she refuses to get on here and acknowledge any of those things. She can sit there and say whatever she wants about Chris, but Chris would have never, ever, ever, ever allowed her to be homeless. Chris would have never allowed her to be hungry the way she is. Chris would have never allowed her to go through the things that she's going through. What happened was, she realized when she was with Chris, she had to work. She saw a shortcut. She went after Rev. She got Rev. She spent all the money, and now she's stuck with him. And like I said, we're going to get to Rev in a minute. I got some interesting things I want to say about him. But Shannon Dornbush killed Shanny for Christ. Shannon Dornbush murdered Shanny for Christ. Shannon Dornbush, this very uneducated woman who's not very articulate, who does a really bad job of expressing herself, got on social media, believed in the freedom of speech, and believed that she can say whatever she wanted, and she reaped what she sowed. I know some of you are calling it karma. I'm going to say that she just ultimately reaped what she sowed. You cannot say the things that you were saying about people on here, defending the people, the kind of people that she was defending, and doing the things that you were doing on here, and believe that you have a right to be on social media. She killed her career, and to this very day, she is still unapologetic about the things that she did and said in the past. Because if she was apologetic about it, you would see a channel tour with her expressing how sorry she is. I think one of the best shows that Shanny for Christ made was Why Do You Hate Me? Because you want to know why? It gave people in the community the opportunity to talk directly to her in real time, and she attempted to answer the questions that they was asking and addressing some of their concerns. She does not give you that opportunity now, and I believe that the reason why that's the case is because Shanny knows she's wrong. Can you imagine her doing Why Do You Hate Me 3 or 4, and then allowing Drader to be the very first person to go in there? Can you imagine her making a video like that, and then the very first person that goes up in there is Carrie? Can you imagine her doing that show, and the very first person that goes up in there is yours truly? Because I don't hate Shanny. But I got a lot of other emotions toward her that I like to express. That's for sure. But Shannon Dornbush killed Shanny for Christ. Shanny for Christ didn't stand a chance. Shannon Dornbush was a puffed up, proud woman who didn't care about what society thought, took her bigoted opinions and put it on social media, believing there wasn't going to be any consequences, and she paid a price. She paid a price. Then there's Revelation News. What happened to that cat? This is a guy who spoke with a very low voice, practiced humility like crazy. Actually gave the people who needed it, like Nadia and a couple of other people on here. Nadia is what we would call a militant atheist who opened up her rooms for 24 hours because she had to, because she was trying to get money for her surgery, for oh God, I just realized what I'm talking about. To pay for the surgeries that Nadia needed. And Rev was there to be an emotional and financial supporter because a lot of times Nadia didn't have any food to eat. And he helped her. He helped a couple of people that was in that community. This is before Shanny. If you don't know what I'm talking about, type in the debate Coliseum with Nadia Chambers. Put that in the YouTube search engine, and you will see what I'm talking about. You will see what I'm talking about. You'll see him in there speaking normal, making sense when he talks, being respectful. And this dude was an alcoholic at this particular time. Shanny keeps saying that she helped him and prevented him from dying. Yeah, he's worse off now than he was when he was an alcoholic. And it's just the truth. I'd rather be an alcoholic than a crackhead. I'm sorry. But anyway, matter of fact, I'd rather be an alcoholic swimming in money than be broke and be a crackhead. Just sorry. You know, I mean, it is what it is. And by the way, Rev, I'm not calling you a literal crackhead because I don't know if you use crack. I'm just using that as a description because of your dependency on alcohol, cigarettes, and Delta 8. All right. So what happened to Revelation News? This truther, this guy who got on here promoting Alex Jones, promoting all these other truthers on here and these conspiracy theories and everything. Guy who's the author of the Tentacle Saga. Guy who was rubbing shoulders with some of the most popular truthers on the internet. What happened to him? I'm going to tell you what happened to him. And this is going to make up about 70% because I'm not going to take the responsibility off of him. 70% of this was opening his door when Shanny knocked on it. That's what happened to Rev News. When he opened up that door, he was introduced to an entirely different world on how to see things. You shouldn't save your money. You should spend your money. You shouldn't invest your money. You should spend your money. You shouldn't be talking about truther stuff because that's for reprobates. You should be practicing witchcraft. And we should go somewhere where we can legally smoke all the weed we could ever want to smoke. Did you know that weed can get you off of alcohol? According to her. You know what I mean? And a couple of different times he had an opportunity to break up and he didn't do it. And he would have had his money. But Shanny changed his political ideology, changed the way he sees the Bible, changes the way that he sees life in general. Shanny did all of that. The 30%, now mind you, I didn't blame the reaction people once because I'm going to get to them in a minute. I'm going to talk about them in a moment. I'm going to talk about their contribution. Rev, you can't blame the reaction people for the position that you're in. Because Shanny couldn't do one thing regarding your money without your permission. She couldn't do anything without your permission. 30% of it was your poor decisions, my friend. Very slowly but surely, Revelation News began to die a slow, horrific death. because Shanny broadcasted every little tiny thing that happened between the two, pretending like she was going to leave him and break up with him when she had nowhere else to go. Kind of like what you guys seen in the hotel and what y'all saw going on in the house, because she knew full well the only way Rev was getting out the house if I told him to get out. Shanny didn't have the power to kick nobody out of there. I'm going to say this again. Shanny had the power to kick nobody out of nothing. That was my house. If I wanted him to stay, he was going to stay. But somehow she convinced him that she had the power to throw him out that house. Absolutely. I've never seen a man destroyed the way this guy is destroyed. I've never seen nothing like this. And I'm talking about not even on TV. I've never seen it in no movie or nothing. I've never seen a woman come into a guy's life and completely destroy this dude the way Shanny did. Change his religion. Yeah, Rev, you don't believe the same things that you believe when you was going in Audia's room. Anybody can compare and contrast. As a matter of fact, if you guys want to do some reaction stuff, y'all need to go take a look at them Nadia rooms. Go find the parts when Rev went in the room and listen to what he believed then versus what he believes now. That stuff came from Shanny. I know how Shanny is because I was in the car with Shanny and I brought up the R topic. I brought up the R topic in the car and that woman nearly lost her stuff. She went totally psycho, completely psycho when she was in the car. When I brought that topic up, it triggered her like crazy. And it did not change my position on where I stood on things. Because when I make it, when I believe something, I have a strong position. And the only way anybody's going to change my mind if they actually know something about the topic and can properly articulate themselves to show me why I'm wrong about my topics. That is the only way you're changing my mind about anything. And the only person on YouTube who has an opposing worldview to me who's ever been able to accomplish that was Bionic Dance. Because she also has strong stances. Bionic Dance is the one that got me to think about whether or not America was a Christian nation or not. And she has some really good arguments. Really good arguments. Better arguments than Billy Hunty had, that's for sure. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, she changed his religion. She changed the way he sees the world. All this money that he invested into the truther community, wasted. Because she wanted all of those resources put into her wakey bakies and the things that she was doing on her channel. How you doing? She wanted all of those resources used in her there's a child going over there, so I don't want to talk about this stuff when a child's around. Give me 1 second. Maybe I should move. If they come back over here, I'm gonna have to move. But anyway, yeah, she wanted all of those resources used into the wakey bakies. This woman had a cross on her wall, and when she got involved with Rev, she was wearing green and wearing green wreaths around her head, and they put a marijuana symbol on their wall because it wasn't about Jesus no more. It was about getting high. It was about getting high, and the person that supposedly led her to Christ wasn't able to see what was going on. Let me tell you something about us Christians, guys. Even if we have wet brain, some of you ain't gonna like me saying this, but even if we have wet brain, we still have our beliefs. If this man was really a child of God the way he said he was, he would have never allowed his money to be used in the manner that Shanny was using it. He would have never agreed to do porn. He would have never agreed to do porn. I remember going to Veckle one day, and Veckle was asking me about Shanny and Rev and all this other stuff, and we were talking about like who's a Christian, who's not a Christian. And I remember very clearly when Veckle said that nah, he don't believe it. As a matter of fact, there was several Christians where she lost instant support when they found out that she did porn. Instant support. And no, they didn't watch it. I think they was getting this information from Shanny herself, from Drag, because I think at the time he was the one that was covering it the most. Matter of fact, there were quite a few channels actually covering Shanny at this particular time. But a lot of the Christians didn't want nothing to do with her no more. That's why she doesn't have the support that she thinks she should have, because she alienated all of them people when she was in Boulder, Colorado. She walked around here with her head up in the air, thinking she was better than everybody, with her pinky in the air. She went out there belittling the poor, calling people the N-word, and being unapologetic about it. And to this very day, she will not apologize about those things. She will not do a channel tour and own what she did. And I want to go on a bit of a subtopic before we go back onto what happened to Rev News. If you're a small channel and you're not used to getting a lot of attention from multiple channels, try to be thankful for that. I know what it's like to have multiple channels coming after you. And if you think I'm talking about the reaction people, which you're going to get to last, no, I'm talking about before them. I had the drunken peasants back when they had TJ on there, when they was getting like 2, 3, 4, 500,000 views per show. Billy the Fridge is boring people to tears. I'm sorry, but and I wish the drunken peasants would listen to me, but he's really boring people to tears, and they need to get another co-host on there if they haven't done it already. But and actually, to tell you the truth, it ain't really Billy the Fridge, it's the owner of the channel too. He's boring people to tears. I know it's his channel, he can do whatever he wants, but he should probably make up with the Amazing Atheist and get him back on there, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, those Shanny and Rev wasn't used to getting all of this attention that they were getting. And when they finally started having all these channels recognize who they were, they took that as fame instead of understanding that now you got eyeballs watching you, and everything that you say and everything that you do is going to be critically analyzed by these people, and they're going to be speaking about it. Literally everything that comes out your mouth. And I warned this woman over and over and over again. I warned Rev over. They didn't want to listen because, you know, they know better than me. They know better than me. That did not age very well at all. But Shanny started getting attention. She didn't understand what to do with the attention. Now, like I said, she got very opinionated with her mouth. She paid the price. Now she can never be on social media again without the fear of somebody flagging her into extinction. Because this woman and this man refused to own the things that they did. Now, getting back to Jason. Jason losing his virginity to Shanny when they wasn't even married has made a conscious decision that this woman and what she thinks is the end all be all. That what he believes doesn't matter. What he likes doesn't matter. What he wants to do doesn't matter. It has to please Shanny or it doesn't matter. Jason, I said this before and I'll say this again. That is idolatry, dude. That is straight up unadulterated idolatry. It's not enough that you're practicing adultery. That is having sex without marriage. That you refuse to call it adultery, or that you refuse to acknowledge it and walk away from it. But number two, you're committing idolatry by worshiping at the altar of Shanny. Don't make a video later on whatever. By the way, I don't know what platform they're on. Let me go on the chat here because I know you guys are probably mad I'm ignoring you guys because I got to stay focused sometimes. Yeah, they're claiming to be Christians. If you're a Christian, you have to wait until you get married in order to have sex. They believe, and I felt bad for Jason because that dude's going to be majorly disappointed when he gets in front of Jesus because he thinks he's going to stand before the Lord and say, Lord, we were common law married. He thinks he's going to say that to Jesus, and that's going to fly. Well, Lord, you didn't say we couldn't practice witchcraft. That's a lie. That's a straight up lie. Well, Lord, there's nothing wrong with cussing. Ain't looking good for you on Judgment Day, Rev. Ain't looking good for you at all, my friend. Ain't looking good for you at all. and that you don't want to work them. Doesn't the Bible says that it is that you're worse than an infidel for a man who doesn't provide for his own family? I was the one providing for your family when we were friends. I was the one that was providing for your woman and your kid. Well, and your former stepkids. I was the one that was keeping that little relationship that you guys had afloat. Boy, have I had a time machine. But anyway, Jason, you're not the same person, my friend. You can't blame alcohol. My friend, you can't even blame the devil. I'm sorry, you can't even blame the devil at this point. You can't blame alcohol. You can't blame the devil. You can't blame Delta 8. You can't blame the president. You can't blame the president that was before him. You can't blame the president before him. You can't blame your mother. You can't blame your father. You can't blame any of these things. The only person that you can blame, my friend, is by walking up to your bathroom mirror and blaming yourself for some of the decisions that you made. I'm attempting to be respectful here, and I'm hoping they're going to make a video response to this. I'm talking about Shanny and Rev, because that's the only video response I'm actually going to care about. If Drag makes a video response to this, who cares? I want Shanny and Rev to make a video response about this. Why not just get on social media and tell the truth? Tell the truth. Talk about how you two were fooling around before you got married. I'm sorry, no. My bad. How you were fooling around before you guys became boyfriend and girlfriend after Chris. Why don't you guys get on here and tell the truth on how Shanny likes to lie about having cancer? Get on here and tell the truth about it, but you're not going to do that. But anyway, I believe the reason why Rev has been destroyed because Shannon Dornbush killed Revelation News. 70% of this man's death, the blood clots that he had, the heart problems that he had, the cancer that he had, came directly from Shannon Dornbush. The second part came from self. Now, what about the reaction channels here? How much responsibility can they take? The reaction channels, and I mean all of them at this particular point, and predominantly the ones I want to focus on, I'm going to name them. Okay? Dragnut, Burnt Toast, Jules, Ira Alex, Fat Fit Geeky, Life of a Free Spirit a little bit, because she didn't really make that many videos about her. Who are these other channels? Big C, David, what is he calling himself? I forgot the man's name. David Anthony, Ms. Star, and these other channels that are out there all magnified what Shanny was actually doing. Shanny, if you're watching this and you have not cut this off yet, you got to understand something. The same way you can respond to somebody who's made a video about you or something about what they did on the internet, somebody can do the same thing with you. And when you got all of these new viewers and you became a movie star and you became this big time hit on YouTube, these people now have a right to talk about you and what you put on the internet. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get into when I believe people went too far on here and everything and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that because it's not necessary, because we done talked about that a billion different times. But what I do want to get into is this. 85% of the time, when the reaction channels dealt with Shanny, it was based on what they actually presented. It was based on what what Shanny and Rev put on YouTube. Like, for example, when Shanny got on YouTube, when she was in the car and she said, "Go to the house and take whatever you guys want." And they went over there and they started filming how they left the house. And I only know this because I went back and I actually watched the videos recently. And they went back to the house and they started filming how they left the place. It's not like they're coming to you, Shanny, and putting a gun in your head or putting a knife to your neck or whatever, or anything like that. They're not going to employers and telling them you can't work here or nothing like that. All they did was show everybody how you left the place. That's what they did. Legally, could you have done some things? I don't know. I don't know about the laws about Colorado, but I know this. You can't say that the reaction channels destroyed your YouTube channel because you decided that you didn't want to clean up one day and you told people to go over there. Or when Rev called Dragnut the N-word, I believe, 13 to 15 times, I believe, on Ivory Alex's channel, because I can't find the original video. On Ivory Alex's documentary videos, you can actually see at the end of one of the videos him calling Dragnut the N-word 13 to 15 times. And I don't even like Dragnut, and that's a major no-no. That's a major no-no, right? So you can't blame the reaction channels because they're repeating what you said on the internet. Now, what you can get them for is the things that I talked about when I was on GTV, when I was sharing legal videos and everything and whatnot. But if they're not doing none of those things and they're not stalking you or nothing, you can't really say anything to them. So the question goes back to this. Who murdered Shanny for Christ? Shannon Dornbush killed Shanny for Christ. That little fake pompous image that she put on YouTube pretending to care about the things of God was completely obliterated by the real Shanny. And Jason, Revelation News, JWE, as he used to call himself, I am not dot dropping him. He refers to himself a lot, especially in the past, as JWE or his real name or whatever on his channel. And he allowed this woman to spend all of his money. He said, listen, this is all of my money, spend it. That's basically what he did. And if you guys actually saw what he actually owned, the majority of what I ultimately got from those guys, let me tell you guys something. The majority of what I actually got from them, I would say was already in the house already. When I met these people in person and they lived in the house and Jason started giving me all this stuff, some of the stuff I bought from them, but for the most part, they gave me a lot of that stuff. Jason didn't really have anything. That's why I'm very curious to what was inside that house that they left there. Because Shanny had all of this expensive. The one thing I noticed about those two when they were giving things away is that Jason always had to give away his stuff. When they had to go to the pawn shop, it was always Jason selling his things. Shanny would never sell her stuff at all. It was always Jason's stuff. But at the end of the day, and Shanny doesn't believe me, but this is true. A lot of her stuff ended up getting thrown in the garbage because Jason told me to throw those things in the garbage. There was a lot of clothes, some makeup, and a lot of that stuff and whatnot that you guys saw in those haul videos that I ended up throwing in the garbage. And if you would have smelled those clothes, you would have threw them in the garbage too. You know what I mean? So, and as a matter of fact, you probably wouldn't have threw them in the garbage because you probably would have wanted to spare the noses of the rats. You probably would have burnt the stuff. But Jason's dead. The Revelation News is dead because he allowed this pseudo Christian. He allowed this. Can I say this? Because normally I would say Willie Mammoth and all this other stuff and whatnot, but I'm trying to be serious here. He allowed this gold digger to come into his life and basically spin him into oblivion. Let me ask you guys a question here. I want to ask all of you a question here because a lot of you have been watching this archive stuff and I haven't even caught up with everything yet. How many times have you heard Jason say that he's the one providing for this family when he had 750 grand and did it in a condescending way to Shanny? I haven't found a single video with him doing that. It's always he wants to spoil her. He wants to make her happy, blah, 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 blah. When they finally got broke, it was Shanny that was belittling him when she had to use the YouTube money to help him. And I'm talking about with her pocket change. One of the funniest things I still laugh at one of these videos, on the archive videos, is when Shanny says she raised 20 and then rents like $3,000 a month. If I was in his situation, I'd have strangled her after saying something like that. That was hilarious, man. That was just too funny. I was just watching that before I started this, actually. But anyway, I raised 20. Well, good for you. God, I gotta like cut that, man, and just play that like over and over again. It's hilarious because it shows the lack of sensitivity that Shanny had to the situation. You know what I mean? Absolutely hilarious. But like I said, Rev was not always this way, guys. He was a totally different person. He was a very understanding. As a matter of fact, a lot of you would have liked him. A lot of you would have liked him. A lot of you would have liked him before he got involved with Shanny. I can understand why nobody likes him now. But before he got involved with Shanny, a lot of you would have liked him. He was a lot more understanding towards other people's opinions than he is now. He would be the opposite of sterile, right? But yeah, Rev, the reason why you're in the situation that you're in, dude, is not because you have to move 4 or 5 times or whatever, right? It's not because your mom didn't get on you about getting a job or none of that stuff. You're in the situation that you're in because you allowed Shanny to spend all your money, or to spend a vast majority of your money. Shanny's in the position that she's in because she didn't plan past what was right in front of her face. What was right in front of her face. She couldn't plan past that. This is right there. It's like, well, we're about to be broke. Maybe we should take that house that we got in Pennsylvania and sell it and actually invest it into the stock market, or perhaps pay back some of the back taxes and actually live in this house or whatever. But they didn't want to do that for some oddball reason. You took it from me. You wanted me to get over it, and I did. Then you started contacting me, saying, "Gee, man, we want you to have this house," because I think what you were trying to do was to get me to fix it up. Because from what I can gather, when I went out there, I was told by several people that you guys tried to sell it and you couldn't do it because of all of the liens that was on the house. You thought I didn't do no digging? You must be crazy. I was trying to get me to fix that thing up and then give it to you so that you guys could be swimming, and then that just wasn't going to happen. No, that wasn't going to happen. But in order for Shanny for Christ to have a chance to resurrect on YouTube, and by the way, there's a better chance of this tree turning into gold than for that to happen. But the only way I can possibly see it happening is a channel tour and her owning everything that she's ever done. And she would have to do a tour on here for the better part of 2 years, I think. She would have to go to Life of a Free Spirit and apologize to her on her platform, and then take the brutal punishment that's going to come from her. She would have to go to Drag's channel several times and deal with the Dragoons. She would have to go to Carrie's channel. She would have to go to Drader's channel. Good luck with that one. She would have to go to Burntos's channel. She would have to go to all of these channels just to have a sliver of a chance to try to have permission to come back on social media. She don't got to come on my channel because I don't think nobody cares. But these other channels, she's going to have to do it. She's going to have to go out there and do it. And like I said, there's a better chance of this tree turning into gold and sprouting out gold leaves that I can take to the store and use as money. There's a better chance of that happening than Shanny actually doing any of that. Because, you know, one of the reason why she's in the position that she's in, because she's proud. She's puffed up and proud, and she refuses to admit that she's done anything. To this very day, gee, man, you know, if you would have never did what you did, I would have never called you the N-word. What did I do, Shanny? Have you guys ever noticed that she never went into detail about what I supposedly did? She never went into detail about it, and I can't wait until she finally does it. Because when it's time to prove it, we all know she ain't going to be able to do none of that. It's just her talking, and then that's it. I know that there's some people from the, I'm looking at the live chat here, and I notice that there's some of the Dragoons here actually watching. The one thing I want to let my audience know, how you doing? I'm all right. One of the things that I want to let my audience know about the Dragoons, they are really good at divide and conquer. So if you see them doing it, the best thing to do is to ignore them. Because they'll eventually get you if you talk to them long enough. I stopped underestimating them people a long time ago. Because it's easier to destroy somebody when they're left on an island by themselves. You know what I mean? But yeah, Revelation News is buried in some cemetery somewhere, and so is Shanny for Christ. Not to say that Shanny for Christ was any better, but Shannon Dornbush absolutely, positively, just ugh. You get on here, you singing, you don't want no scrub. You getting on here laughing at people who's on food stamps. You getting on here poking fun at people that can't get groceries. Getting on here bribing people with money, so that they can defend you. And if they don't defend you, you won't give them any more money, even though you know that they're struggling with food. And I'm talking about YouTubers like Hannah Stout and other people that you were supposedly helping. And one of the biggest mistakes I made in the beginning was when I picked Shanny over Midstar. That was just dumb. That was just stupid on my part. Not to say that Midstar was all that much better, but Midstar was making some good points, and I just didn't want to hear it. That's what it was. Like the amount of support that I don't think a lot of you understand the amount of support that Shanny had when people found out that Chris cheated on her with her best friend. I don't think a lot of you understand the amount of support that Shanny had. There was a lot of people in the background that looked at Shanny as a victim and felt bad for her. A lot of people in the Christian community felt bad for her. A lot of people wanted to do things to help her. But when it came out that she was talking to Rev and that he had a lot of money, and then people like Deidre, the Holy Spackle came out and was saying that she's just trying to get him for the money and whatnot. And then people started pointing out reasons for this and everything and whatnot. That's when she started losing the support. Because then what she was saying wasn't matching up with her story anymore. You know. So I just felt like I needed to talk about this. Shanny, these people didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself. And Shanny, I asked you a question about a year ago, I think, and you never answered my question. If you and Chris are really divorced, why do you continue to call yourself Dornbush? Legally speaking, that's not your name. And then why Chris hasn't said anything about it is hilarious. That's his name, not her name. And if you're married to Rev, why isn't your last name Egroff? And show me in the Bible, Shanny, where it says that if you are common law married, that's not sin. Show me that in the Bible, because you can't. You want to get on here talking about some back to roots. Let's talk about politics. Let's talk about the Bible. You show me in scripture where it says that common law is recognized by God as being married. Oh, she doesn't have to change her name? Let me see something here. She doesn't have to change her name if she's divorced? Oh, really? I didn't know that. But don't you think... Okay, so are you aware, Liz, that Shanny accused Chris of violating her? Are you aware of that, Liz? Shanny said that Chris violated her. Why would you want the last name of somebody who violated you? Why would you want the last name of somebody who violated you? Why would you want the last name of a person who violated you? Yeah, she doesn't have to change the name and whatnot. Thank you for the correction, Liz. But why would you want the last name of somebody who supposedly violated you? Just saying. Why? If she was violated the way she claims she was, and by the way, Shanny's mother does not believe, I don't think Shanny's mother believed that Chris did those things. But if she was violated the way she was, according to them, why use his last name? Why would you want to be named after the person who violated you? If Shanny felt so strong about that topic. And Rev is just too dumb to ask her these kind of questions. Why not be called by your family name? Unless she's ashamed of it. Where is it? Liz ain't no one trying to violate her. My ex still has my name attached to her account. She still uses even with her new psycho boyfriend. Wow. This is why. This is one of the many reasons why I think that Shanny's been lying for a very long time. And then the revelation, thanks to the reaction channels, they've been able to prove that Shanny's been copying other YouTube creators. I know from my personal time from being around Shanny that she likes this lady called Truthfully Trisha, and that she likes Foodie Beauty, and that she likes this Sparkle Girl, and a couple of other people on here. But I notice that, come on, think about it, doesn't Foodie Beauty and Truthfully Trisha have an OnlyFans? That might explain why Shanny did that. Now, the way the girl Sparkle does her eyes and everything, that's the way that Shanny does it. So she probably got that idea from them. So Shanny's just been copying a whole bunch of YouTube creators. And let me tell you why I believe this. And I believe this strongly. I have a strong opinion about this now, meaning it's going to be hard to change my mind about this. And the reason why I got a strong opinion about this is because I've been noticing that since she has not been on camera, I don't see this creativity that Shanny used to have. I got on YouTube defending her once, and I said that the reason why a lot of people don't like Shanny, particularly drag, was because Shanny was more creative than Dragnut is. Yet, if you look at Shanny's last, what did she do? 3 uploads, Carrie, on her channel? The last 3 uploads that she posted on social media, there's nothing different. She's in pain. She's in pain. She's in pain. And that's all she ever talks about. Where's all of this creativity? Where is the Goblin Queen? Where's Shanny LGBTQIQ, whatever those other letters are, whatever. Where is Shandy Saldafon? Where's the cult of Shanny? Where's all of this stuff? Where is it? Where's this Archangel Shanny? Where's all of this stuff that she was using before she got exposed on here as being a what do you call? I think it's called a plagiarist, where you take other people's ideas and claim it as your own. Did Chris adopt boys to rename them? Isn't their last name that of their fathers? Carrie kids. Carrie, the kids don't have Chris' name. Yes, the kids both have first married last name. So Shanny, if you want to know why people hate you on here and why people are coming at you the way you are, go to XX Archive. No. Don't go to XX Archive. Don't do that. Go to, first and foremost, I want you to go to Fat Courtney Love's channel. And I want you to look at all of those videos from Boulder, Colorado, the way you was behaving, what you said about people. Then go to XX Archive. Then go to XX Archive and look at how you acted when you came to Pennsylvania. The last days when you lied to everybody claiming that you just saw that eviction notice, because I believe Irate Alex has a video on his channel showing everybody how you knew about the eviction and you played it off like you didn't care. As a matter of fact, I believe everything that they did in that video, even to the point where Rev said that G-Man pays your bills, that whole fight and everything, that was orchestrated and it was fake. It's like the cookie fight that they had. I think that was fake too. I don't believe the cookie fight was real. I don't think that the fight that they had when they was in Boulder, Colorado was necessarily real. I believe that some of it was supposed to go a certain way. Because if you listen to Rev, if you go back and you watch the video where Rev says to her, that he's stale and disgusting, and nobody would want to mess with him since he was inside of her or whatever, right? Right? He's holding back laughing, saying that. Go listen to him say that. He's holding back giggling by saying that. Both of them knew that they was going to be evicted, according to Irate Alex's documentary video. And they put on a show in order to get some donations. No. Don't get me wrong, Liz. They fight. Don't get me wrong. But some of that dialogue that they had wasn't real. I'm telling you, these two are some performers and they're some actors. They do that because they know that you guys want to see them fight. The only reason I believe this is because this is what Shanny would do before dealing with one of you guys. Shanny would see a video, for example, that would, I'm going to use Dragnut as an example. Shanny would see a video that Dragnut would do. And then when the video is over, Dragnut get called all kinds of names and whatnot. And then Shanny would be like, okay, it's time for Big Mama to go to work. She'll get her wig. She'll make herself look a certain kind of way. She had, I think, that OBS system or whatever, had that big screen behind her. Didn't get up one time to do anything. She just got the wig and put it on, and then got on there and started doing the things that she was doing. I actually witnessed this and heard them talk about what they was going to do in the video before they did the video. That's the only reason I believe it. To be fair, G-Man, you are right about some things, but you're too close to the situation to see some things. I can't argue with that. So what has to happen in order for Revelation News to make a resurrection? Because Shanny has to do a channel tour. Rev doesn't have to do that. I think what he needs to do
continue on with your show for your people.